going, everyone? Happy Friday. Boy, is it Friday already. Time flies when you're streaming every freaking day. Pretty amazing. I'm excited. I'm pumped. We got a Bulls only stream, new show on the show. To be bullish on Pulsechain. Every once in a while, we tend to do that. I definitely like to hear all the different bearish theories and definitely like to hear the objective content as well. And we'll probably get into it today. It doesn't mean we're not going to say anything that's not bullish either, because I want to hear the truth, want to hear what's going on, want to hear people's opinions as well. But it's just mostly get the people going, mostly to just kind of set the tone, set the frame, and to, be bullish. Because why? I'm curious, chat. Let me know if you're not bullish, because I've seen a lot of B word stuff going on, B to the bullish. So very excited about that. Got a few gentlemen. Also, I did a thumbnail for this one. I'll usually do that. I need to, when I'm working with, I'm going to do some more mid-journey stuff and more manus.im, my new favorite AI platform for agent stuff. I'll put a link in the chat as well. Manus.im. Check it out. Pretty amazing. I'm going to do that. Maybe start using that to blend some different thumbnail stuff as well, and do some more amazing content creation for the greatest chain on earth, the Pulse chain. And Hex.com is pretty good too. Anyways, without further ado, welcome back to the show, Zenith, Gerardo, and Crypto Kong. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
What up?
Happy Friday, boys.
Happy Friday, gents.
Happy Friday.
We got two faces, one avatar, and one almost avatar.
Yeah, I'm a little bit bland today, so yeah, not the regular setup. That'll be my excuse for the day. So.
Kong, you're at all the college campuses doing the world tour, getting the people on the Pulse chain.
Doing the Charlie Kirk world tour for Pulsechain.
We had a Charlie Kirk
the missionary work tour.
Pulsechain missionary. That's got to be somebody's alias in the community. It's got to be somebody's. It's too fitting too. Anyways, gents, glad to have you all back today, back again for another amazing stream. I think Gerardo, it's been a while. Zenith and Kong are pretty regulars at this point, but Gerardo, you've been busy. You've been not that the other two have been busy either, but you've been busy building the stuff. I've been really enjoying Lightbeam and all the other amazing stuff you've been doing, man.
Busy sitting in this chair that's been falling apart. I need a new chair. Recommendations open. The Herman Millers are too expensive, I think. I just can't get I'm cheap. I can't get myself to spend $2,000 on a chair. But hey, if one of you guys convinces me, pitches me enough. But I've just been busy building stuff. You can tell in my X bio, I have like 7 sites there. I have more, but they just don't fit. So yeah, man, just building sites for myself, for other people. For the greatest chain on earth, as you would say.
Exactly right.
So why not?
Love it. We hope the bull market's good to you, man. We hope you're able to afford one.
Hey, man. It's been rough.
It's been. I mean, the last couple of years has been kind of. I mean, there's been opportunities here and there if you're trading, but again, most people lose at trading. I would wager. Heard a wise man say that once as well. And actually, I mean, if we say that now, we're like, well, where do you put it? Well, do you stake it? Do you lock it up? Oh, where's the APY? What is your? Maybe we'll kick it off with that too, Gerardo. Like, what is your pitch for Hex now that we've seen the whales stake a lot and reduce the yield? Like, is the messaging towards value, towards like, hey, this thing did 10,000x before, we may see some more? Like, how do you pitch Hex now?
That's a great question. I think it's interesting that the amount of Hex that is staked led to a yield, an APY of about, man, I haven't checked in a while, but it's like 3%, 4% ish, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there.
It's on the left.
Which puts it more along the APYs of like traditional risk-free, quote unquote, investment vehicles. Like what do you get on a bond nowadays, or a treasury bill? Like 3%, 4%. So I just think that's interesting. So maybe that's the new narrative, as opposed to like a CD. It's more so, I mean, it is closer to a CD in a way now. Well, CD yield is pitiful, but you know what I'm talking about, like traditional investment yield, investment vehicles for yield. So, and I think that kind of brings to light the price performance more too, because like that's what you care about, is either a stable Hex or a Hex that's going up. Because when you have 10%, 15% yield per year, you can make up for a little bit of a price dip with just the yield, but now you can make up for less. So you want to see price kind of balance that out a little bit more. And I think that's the idea with the whole cutting of rates on Inc. on on Hex. Like all the yields were pretty much cut in the course of like 2 days by the OA. So no, I mean the pitch I guess would be, I mean, different strokes for different folks. Like Richard always says, like just see what makes them tick. If they're a TradFi bro, just talk to them about that. If they're a degen, talk to them about, you know, a 10,000x once, like you just said. It might do it again. It just depends really who you're talking to.
Yeah, what do you guys have ideas on this too? Because I mean, the story is inevitably going to go to, because I've been thinking about, I was talking about in the green room too, thought about doing more in-person events, going to places, talking to people, you know, about crypto, maybe not Hex and Pulsechain directly, but then making that a topic, of course, of conversation afterwards, depending on what kind of talk and speech and stuff like that too. But inevitably it's going to come up of like, okay, oh, the thing did 10,000x, that's amazing. And then what's the price chart look like now? And then you could either show up the chart, you can talk about how, you know, all the other cryptos are down, or you can say, oh, wow, this is, I've been here for years. This is obviously, I'm looking at it as an opportunity. If it did 10,000x and it's not still there and it went way down, what if it does do it again? Like, there's all these counters and stuff you can have and to frame it. But how do we talk to people about these things? By the way, this hat would look really good with that shirt. I'm just looking at that. It is the same exact color. And anyways, you got some good swag on today too.
Good stuff, courtesy of this guy right here. But honestly, the use case for Hex is still pretty much the same. Granted, I think Gerardo just hit it right on the head there, which is that honestly, it depends who you're talking to about what the sales pitch is going to be. But as far as the use case for Hex, it still is there. Granted, the APY is still down, but longer pays better bonuses, bigger pays better bonuses. Those are still very much in effect. You can still have its own price appreciation on top of that. And outside of just Hex, the rest of the coins still have all of their own functions going on. PulseX still has the buy and burn going very, very hard. Pulsechain is still very, still decentralized from the verifiers, validators, and it's still very fast, very cheap, high throughput, low gas fees, all that good stuff, and more projects coming out. So the support is there. It's not like it's not a dead chain by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, it's actually rather thriving. I think one of my co-hosts over on Degen Roundtable, he found a tweet by a guy who was trying to track the Ethereum reserves going around there, and a bunch of people messaged the guy after he posted it on Twitter, and they're like, "Hey, you're missing one. It's actually like number 2," and that's just straight up Richard Hart and the Sack wallets have more Ethereum than Coinbase even, as far as the calculations there went. And the guy came around, he's like, "All right, I guess we're going to include Pulsechain on this now." So there's a lot of activity going on. It's just, it all depends what you're looking for. Hex still good, PulseX still good, incentive token still has its own narratives going on. Pulsechain as a core is good. All the plethora of projects, whether you want to get into the meme coins and try to get people to do that through pump.tires, lots of stuff still out there.
What I would say as well is I think just getting eyeballs to the charts is just important in itself. So you, like, for example, when I'm trying to onboard someone, like I think most people aren't right off the bat trying to put in their entire life savings into like let's say the Hex chart, how it sits right now. But if you're able to just get eyeballs to the chart, if you're able to make like a tiny little, like even $5-10 account, if they see it move up, chances are they'll get some sort of FOMO factor, or some sort of like they'll take a second look when they see even like a tiny amount of money start to move, because they'll think probably in their head like, oh, what if that was X amount of dollars, right? And it's probably a better onboarding tactic than like trying to like get them all into like all the complex like ins and outs of like everything on Pulsechain, relative to just, you know what, here's like $5 or $10 and just see what happens to it. So there you go. Especially right here where we are, where the prices aren't like, you sacrifice, like I think some people could have gotten a good deal, but at the same time, some people could probably get a better deal now at today's spot price than people who had sacked a few years ago. So that's kind of a big bonus for them as well.
Definitely. I know we've probably been down on the charts for a long time at this point, but honestly, I mean, Hex, Pulsechain, PulseX, Incentive Token, they've all effectively done a 2x over the course of the last 2 weeks. So it's still very much alive. And from chart standpoints, there's even good opportunities there. Doesn't have to go to like moon crazy numbers to even get something going on. But shoot, a 2x over a course of 2 weeks, yeah, it's nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, Hex is, I mean, the whole ecosystem just feels the energy. We've seen the charts, you mentioned the price appreciation and stuff too. it's felt wildly different with all the macro stuff, and we'll get into a few different pieces too. And you mentioned the strategic reserve site, which again we hopefully we're not getting 2 more weeks on that, or I Google Pulsechain and I know this is not hopefully it doesn't get talked out of it or whatever, because it seems like there's one person that's running the site, which is great in a way, but also if they want data-driven stuff, like if you want to know the truth, if you want to see what's going on in the crypto, we have all the data. Literally, the guy on the stream named Gerardo made look into rh.com. you have all the data you need to figure these things out. So if you don't there's no rational reason why you couldn't be like, yeah, there's a Pulsechain Treasury thing. There's a whole bunch of ETH that are somewhere. Why wouldn't you let people know about that? Other than unless it is political in some way, which I hope we are so far past that it's just like, come on, stop gatekeeping. I know we're always going to be gatekept a little bit, but no, come on. This time, let's let this time be different. Come on.
It's nice to see. I think a little bit though. I think I think I've seen some of the gatekeeping kind of go away, especially after the SEC kind of cleared up. Like I think what didn't Uniswap relist Hex on their official front end and stuff like that. So I think
that's true. We had the debank stuff happen after SEC stuff went away, and then we had the Uniswap stuff happen around the time that we had the first dismissal, I think, or so. It got added back. You could actually trade Hex without being gatekept on Uniswap. So it's interesting how there's like conflicts on that. Yeah. What do you think, Gerardo? Like what are people, are they running out of reasons to gatekeep us at this point? Like through all the stuff we've been through? What do you think it's going to look like?
Yeah. Ball's in their court now. Like I understand while the SEC case was still active that, these are companies, they have compliance teams or compliance policies and whatnot. So but are they even following their own policies? I don't know. Like XRP had a SEC case, and they've been, I think, listed and delisted and relisted on a bunch of different exchanges multiple times. But with RH assets, it feels like they've just been kind of waiting for this all to blow over, or maybe hoping it didn't if they secretly just hate him and his projects. But now that it is blown over, ball's in their court. So it's really just give them a bit of time, I guess. We've seen hints of like Kraken, for example, their support guy, their intern on X is just, hinting at a listing. So, give them time, get their liquidity or whatever. Hopefully they just buy directly on market. Who knows? Maybe they already did. Maybe they were part of that pump. And then just wait for the listing. It would be my guess. And yeah, I would hope to see the big guys like the Krakens and Coinbases of the world. Because even though there are trade-offs to being listed on a centralized exchange, as we just saw with Coinbase's data leak, or I think they came out with the data of like how much money they lose every single month, every single quarter, and it's a staggering amount, albeit a small-ish percentage of the revenue they make every year. I can't remember. I think I saw like 3.4 billion in revenue in Q4 or something like that. The Coinbase numbers. It was huge. Don't quote me on that, but they make a shit ton of money. So, yeah, just there are trade-offs, but as you said earlier, it's about eyes. When you guys said it's just about getting more eyes, and trust me, they have a ton of eyes and targeted crypto eyes. So, I mean, you can't get really any better than 10 million monthly users on Coinbase. That's good. That's really, really good. Even if just 1% of those people are interested, that's already 100K people. How many people do we have holding our assets, these assets? Probably like around that number, about 100K. So even if 1% of the Coinbase monthly users were to come into the ecosystem, that already doubles our community size. That'd be huge. Metcalfe's law. What is that, like a 4x in value for a communications network? It's a rough analogy, right, that we use all the time, Metcalfe's law, but it's yeah, I mean, we just need more eyes. I'd love to see them finally list on Coinbase and Kraken and all those. They don't have as many excuses anymore. I don't think they even have a single good excuse to not list at this point. I really don't. I can't think of anything. Earlier I could, but now SEC case 1, maybe the Interpol notice, but that's the founder. That's not the token, right? And this stuff kind of runs on its own. So it's, that's the only excuse I could think of right now is the red notice.
You're right that a lot of people have been using the SEC stuff and other kind of like vagueness in the law to list or delist or do some sort of middle ground with stuff. I mean, XRP is even an interesting case there that you brought up, which is that they've had multiple court battles in the past that they won. But even recently, the state of Oregon actually reopened an investigation and suit into Coinbase because they believe that the SEC wasn't doing their job. So they figured we have to do the SEC's job. And it's like, it's a very different political question about federalism and the roles of that. But even then, stuff like that is anybody going to delist XRP because Oregon's going after them? Probably not. And yeah, SEC case is cleared up now. The Interpol red notice, it's not even Hex or Pulsechain related stuff. It's just tax and an alleged case of simple assault. So at that point, it's less about finding more excuses to not list this stuff. And it's more of just people making independent judgments on their own. So I think a lot more people are going to come around. I think that once the market really gets going and we start going a little parabolic, people are going to be wanting to chase that gold rush, so to speak. So all those centralized exchanges and even DEXs, they're going to say, look, if there's money to be made, let's make money. So just slap it on there. Let's go.
Let's go. It's one of those things. I don't know. I think the Interpol stuff. Yeah, I kind of agree with Gerardo too on the piece where, that Interpol is kind of RH thing. However, RH thing kind of leads into, well, if we want to see him come back, or world's biggest marketer, that'd be nice to have out there shouting at people, bringing the heroes informing the heroes of how wrong they are. I don't know how to say that in like the 2025 version. Humbling heroes. There you go. RH, humbling heroes in 2025.
There you go.
If we want to see that requires him to not, be able to produce live streams and not just do videos and all this OPSEC stuff and all that stuff too. So maybe the concern there is that, okay, it's like chicken and egg sort of deal. Like, how do we kick off, all these amazing things? How do we kick off the glory run with that, with the founder, still not around? And then like, do we need the green candles for that to happen? Like, does Interpol even matter? Like, he's just waiting for a good time to come back when ready because he wants to talk about positive things? Or is it's just not going to happen for a while, and like we have to again just do this grassroots marketing and just not rely on anything else, or assume that he's never going to come back and that we're just going to do it all from ourselves, or like it'll come from sources that it's not like publicly from him or whatever stuff too. I think that's maybe the concern that people have with it. But I talked about Interpol. I feel like this whole week I've been talking about Interpol and how easy that is to get dismissed based on the jurisdiction stuff. Zenith probably has some thoughts on this. He's probably like did some stuff on it too. I don't know if you saw the video I did, but literally me with GPT for 10 minutes, I was like, how do they even have jurisdiction if he's not a Finnish resident? How do they, obviously probably put it in some kind of, tax-free entity or trust or otherwise. There's plenty of ways to do that and prepare for this type of thing beforehand. Billionaire genius founder guy probably did those kinds of things. So like there's 2 or 3 ways. There's just easy stuff that could make this like not even a relevant deal and go away quickly. That I'm pretty sure his Chad Lawyer team has already been like, they probably got the SEC thing. They had like the 5 or 6 things that are like, these are the major points. I imagine they have like the same kind of deal with the Interpol stuff. But yeah, what do you get on that?
To be honest with you, the Interpol stuff, I think we're kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, which is that there's no new information, and we're not going to get any until they straight up release it. Any new information that you do not directly hear from the Finnish government or some sort of law enforcement apparatus is honestly just kind of the same old shtick that we've seen in the United States, which is that someone comes up with a rumor, one news source circulates it, another one quotes those guys, a third one quotes that quote, which quotes a quote, and then eventually it's just very circular. So that's what we've seen. And if you want the example of that, go back and Nuclear Herbs and I talked about it during the Quattro Synchro conference, and he was like, yeah, he straight up reached out to as many people as he possibly could. He found the trail of the snake eating itself and everyone quoting themselves. And then finally one guy was like, oh yeah, I think there's a private investigator. Reached out to the private investigator, and the guy said, yeah, there's no public information. That's it. So, I mean, it's the classic like 2 more weeks thing, but at the same time though, I don't think there's anything to get hung up on really. And at the same time though, I'm primarily focused on American law and all that stuff. So Finnish law is not my field of expertise, but at the same time, they will have their own way of doing things. And unless you really know about that and you really want to look into it more, I really don't think it's a huge deal. Everything else in the ecosystem is still largely working. The sun is going to come up tomorrow. Crypto is going to keep going. Next blocks are going to be validated. All that stuff.
I think, man, I just want, can we not get gatekept on this one too? Like, if does Interpol, do we just need like some really cool news for everyone to forget about the other trashy stuff in the trail? Like, I don't know. I feel like if they properly put Coinbase, or I almost said Coinbase, they properly put Pulsechain right here, just right there, right, just a shy below the Ethereum Foundation and just more than Coinbase. How is that not the biggest marketing? Again, I don't expect it to happen, but boy, if it happened, that is huge, is it not?
It's a nice feather in the cap.
Yeah,
It's not going to be huge marketing just because you got to have somebody yelling about it and telling everybody about it. Being on a list is very cool, but at the same time, you got to drive the eyeballs.
Exactly. Yeah, like we don't know how much traffic the site even gets. But yeah, the more eyes, the better. And you said something earlier. You're like, is it green candles? You asked the question, and dude, like, even these exchanges are people at the end of the day, and they feel FOMO too. So if we do get those crazy green candles that gets normal people to FOMO, I don't see why I wouldn't get exchanges to FOMO because those green candles are indicators of volume usually. And so they're like, oh, we want some of that volume. It's happening now, right? It's kind of like it's weird. It's like they are the catalyst to their own volume, but some of them might wait for the volume and the candles to actually get it done. So once that does happen, it's like a feedback loop, kind of like an avalanche effect would be my guess.
I think you're correct. There's sort of like a critical mass that happens with all these things. And then once you reach that critical mass and move just like a hair above it, that's when it starts to really go parabolic. And even if you don't want to call it FOMO from the centralized exchange standpoint, they have a fiduciary duty to actually run a business at a profit and make good financial decisions. So when we get to that point in the crypto run here, where it's like it's raining money outside, all you got to do is step outside and get wet. It's actually just a rational choice to go do that instead of sit inside and do nothing.
And to touch on what Zenith said as well, I think like if we do see, let's say we see a major onboarding of even native crypto people coming into Pulsechain, and then that brings like let's a second wave, for example, of like people who are more of outsiders, maybe they're not so much like DeFi native, and they're wanting to enter through like a centralized exchange platform. I think the more requests people put in and the more bullish Pulsechain gets, the more requests people will put in to list the tokens, even if people aren't aware of the whole like story and Interpol and this and that and SEC and all of that like kind of drama with Pulsechain. If they just want to trade the token because they see it's moving up, like Zenith saying, like at a certain point, like the exchange is there to facilitate volume, to make trading fees and whatever else, right? So if they think it could be profitable for them to make a lot of volume on, like I don't see a major reason why at a certain point why you wouldn't want to list something that a lot of people are asking for.
Kong, I think you said the magic word there, which was DeFi. Based on kind of like the market analysis and stuff that I've been doing over the last couple of years, is that this cycle for Bitcoin has largely been the ETF cycle. In the past, there have been definite DeFi cycles, but this one, we've really not seen that narrative until this point. I think that if we do actually see a rejuvenated interest in DeFi, that's where we're actually going to see the altcoins start to run. And by proxy, Pulsechain is also right alongside that. There's a lot of DeFi products, and it's also largely tied to Ethereum. Ethereum is largely a DeFi chain because it's not the store of value that Bitcoin is. It's more of that, like the concept of Ethereum is oil. It helps the machine move and function. So we've had the ETFs dominate up to this point. I think there's one bullet in the chamber right now that's loaded up, which is that Ethereum ETF for staking is actually in the works. I believe I saw something recently on it. It got delayed again, but it's looking like that stuff is coming out in maybe September, October this year. So those kind of news stories are a potential trigger for people to actually get re-incentivized to start working with DeFi and utilizing it, especially if like the second largest crypto ETF actually does staking features. Then yeah, it's going to get people going on the DeFi narrative. DeFi narrative is going to get the rest of the altcoins going. We are an altcoin, so that's how that's potentially going to work from there.
Are we all going to be much richer by December?
I mean, obviously nothing we say is financial advice, but if I had to take an educated guess, I would say yes. Definitely yes.
I like that. I mean, it's not, honestly, like, what is the case against, like, as well as try to come up with too. I try to come up with the counter examples too. There's so many in it, you know, you can say, oh, you're biased. Oh, you know, all these, your information, echo chamber, blah, 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 all this stuff too. I can't. It's very hard for me to come up with a case after seeing all these bullish things, the macros, administration stuff, the founder, all the winning that's been happening there in the community, the price bumps we've seen, the historical actions we've seen from whales in the community who seem to be benevolent and want good things for Pulsechain. It's very hard for me to come up with a counterexample of how we don't get to glory, how this place doesn't run like we know it can. We got all the products, we got all the builders, we got all the people, founders looking good at this point as well. Again, the environment's looking, it's kind of, tariffs, blah, 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 all that stuff too. But it's like, it's really hard to come up with a bearish scenario for these things when I think about it. So I don't know why, why not? Why can't, it seems unreasonable. Is it unreasonable to come up and be like, yeah, it's looking pretty bearish. That is unreasonable to me. If I don't hear much of it, but when I do, it's like, yeah, I don't know about that. By the way, it took forever to find this, but yeah, Pulsechain, Richard Hart, that's what it would look like, except about 166,000 or something, because 5,000 went out to somewhere that you should have no expectations, I imagine.
Yeah, what is it? The famous line, "I don't work for you. You should expect nothing from me." That kind of stuff.
He's only said it about 5,555 times. Yeah.
Only.
Gents, Lightbeam. Maybe Gerardo can give us a little bit of a background on this, because it didn't used to be a block explorer, did it, sir?
Gents, Lightbeam. No, it was always intended to be a block explorer, that domain. That's what I bought it for. But at Pulsechain launch, one of my brilliant devs, GameSys, he was a dude who made PulseX lead, Pulse lead. And now I think he's working with another project. I don't know if he's public. Oh, yeah. Internet Money. He's working with them. He's making cool stuff for them. So he's a beast. And he immediately, when Pulsechain launched, he was like, "Hey, you want a token scanner?" And I was like, yeah, why not? Because people were like trying to figure out which tokens they held, right? The Block Explorer I don't think it was up and working too well. So it was a really good place to just check, okay, here are your free forked over PRC20s. And so we just slapped it onto the lightbeam.xyz domain. And we just got busy building other stuff, focusing on building out Mintra. And now I kind of had free time on my hands and decided to just build this on my own. And I had the domain still. So we should swap over the token scanner, although it's not as useful as it was at launch, right? Because nowadays, all these portfolio sites are pretty much effectively token scanners and more. They'll just show you what you have. You can add it to your wallet, blah, blah, blah. So it's a little primitive at this point. It was awesome at launch. But yeah, it was always meant to be a block explorer because we were building out a bunch of tools and we're like, okay, might as well just make the site of all sites for a blockchain, which is at the end of the day, a block explorer. Shows you kind of everything, or it should. And this is in development still. Like, we'll keep adding new features and whatnot. Yeah, this is pretty much my look into Pulse.
Your look into Pulse, yeah. I mean, Lightbeam?
Yeah.
I think it's something that I was on your stream yesterday. I was taking a walk actually, and I was listening, and that's why I was coming up with the different things, because literally on here when I'm streaming, I want to be like, what is this? I know we go to PulseX and do some of these stats and pull some of them there too, but having a way to just literally be like, I want this information in a certain period of time, or pieces like that. Really cool. And this is like a site that you can build all those things. You can integrate new stuff with. You've been adding more stuff all the time. Like, what is your vision for this place? Do you want it to be a one-stop shop? Like, what is the ideal for it?
Yeah. I mean, ideally it matches or surpasses all of the features of like an Etherscan or even our Block Scout fork or Midgard. Those guys are doing a great job with their Block Explorer. They kind of lit the fire under me, like, dang it, someone launched one first. I was like really, really close, and they launched a couple weeks after them. So matching features on those kind of go-to Pulsechain suite type of sites, even in GoPulse, right? Like, their portfolio tracker is awesome. Making sure I'm matching all of their features, all of their stats, and so that's pretty much the vision. Is first getting up to par with the standard, I would say, and then just going beyond that. And I have been racking my brain a lot for like what could make this just 10x better with one new crazy innovative feature. And I still haven't found it yet. I'm open to suggestions, but yeah, I'm still looking for that kind of killer feature to make this just way more awesome, as opposed to just marginally better and better, which is great. But
I guess for the folks at home, Max, if you don't mind scrolling up just a hair to the top there. At its core, Lightbeam on its face looks very similar to the GoPulse website, but you guys offer a good chunk of different information that is not readily available on GoPulse. So, like, Max, can you click on the incentive token there?
Yes, sir.
So even at its core, right there on the homepage, you got holders, you got supply, liquidity, market cap, price performance, that kind of stuff. Even just going into the quick look here, like if you scroll down, you have nice pie charts of top holders. You can even check out liquidity and where all the liquidity is on there. It's one of those tabs right there, Max. Yeah, so look at that. You can see all this stuff. You can see everything going on, the different balances. This is, for the people that are a bit of on-chain nerds like myself, this is great information. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it feels like a one-stop shop, so what's not to love?
That's the goal. Hey, I appreciate the good words, man.
Hey,
that's the idea.
Got a question there too.
Thank
Is
you.
the Block Explorer simply a wallet watching device? Maybe for people who are not familiar, like I guess it can be a lot of different things, you know, in that way. How would you explain it to somebody new? I'm not assuming Sunlight is new, but like for in general, how would you explain that to people in the community, like how they use this type of tech?
I mean, you guys kind of nailed it. It's a one-stop shop for your Pulsechain stats, which is the goal, right? It should be that. If you want to see anything like Zenith just mentioned here, like liquidity pools, where are they? What are the pair addresses? What are the holders? The top holders? Even just token transfers, right? Because I know that was broken on Block Scout for a minute there. It would never load for me. I don't know about you guys, but when you go to like your address and just check token transfers, it would never work. So this one works. It's quick. Could be quicker. That takes a little bit of you know, storing crap in a database. I like to do more just loading on the front end, real-time loading, but that kind of slams your APIs. So it's a balance, right, of snappy loading, not banging your APIs too much, but not storing. Like I did not index the entire chain, if I'm just being fully transparent, like a lot of these block explorers do. So that's why when you go to like, if you try to hit next on like transactions, it won't go to like 50 days ago or 100 days ago, which, you know, it should be able to. And I'll figure out some sort of pagination for that to make sure it can load nicely.
Pagination.
Yeah, it's just a one-stop shop. You can see pretty much. Yeah. Right. Like there's no next there for the next latest ones other than the most recent ones. So that definitely some improvement can be had here. But it's on its way, man.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you have anything actually just struck me when I saw this? Like, can I type in Godwell and you have like named wallets or anything yet?
Does he own .pls? Oh, other than .pls, no, I don't have just like tags that like submit a tag, right? Like Etherscan has, and you're like, oh, everyone knows it's this wallet. They don't have a .pls name, but everyone knows that that's that person. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd take a lot of manual verification, but could be cool because there are some obvious ones like the OA wallets or public wallets and all that. Even that's kind of, you know, questionable.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some downsides that come with it too. Like for example, when I saw that, I thought of like on Fatty.
Yeah, you just copy all those.
Yeah, like that type of thing. And yeah, you have like apparently you know
the
thumbs up system, stuff like that.
No numbers.
There are quite a few. I mean, it doesn't have to be like everything everyone submits, for example. But like, for example, actually, let me go to Hex Scout, which I like this piece too when they do it. Load. So if you click portfolio and you're not
Dream
connected,
account, Firewell, yeah.
You got some like example ones here. So if you click on Godwell, it's always fun just to look at Godwell and how God glorious his wallet is. It's fantastic. But anyways, that's what when I was looking at. Yeah, well, average, at least some of his wallets, average stake length like 14, 15 years. So apparently he's pretty long in the ecosystem and doesn't really care about money today. He likes that delayed gratification very much. Amazing. 6K per day earning yield on that's good. 140% APY. Wow, he must have locked up. Are these like pre-big payday? Like, how do you get 140% APY? That's when I'm looking at this. Yeah, it must be like very early, very long. Wow, glorious. I like it a lot. So yeah, this is something I thought of when I was looking at too. Bridge holdings, always love to see that. I really like. I talked about this yesterday, but I'll bring it up on. No, not that one. Arkham, the bridge. So I like the way Arkham does this too, where, so I like to go here. I'll put this in the chat so you guys can look at it as well. So I like to go down here to the inflows and do USD and be like, tell me everything 10K and above. No, do it. Do it.
That is nice.
Right. Well, if I can get it to work. Okay, here we go. Oh, they have a slider for it too. Yeah, so now we can just look at, what are the the big transfers? We see, Hex, 3.7 million Hex came in, 11K USD. We got 50K here, USDT. There was a few big ones yesterday as well. So, of course, there's outflows too, but this is pretty fun to look at. And it's got, tags and stuff too. So that's what I like to look at on the bridge side as well. But man, you've done, Lightbeam is literally, I tweeted like it's one of my favorite new websites just because it's like,
let's go, dude.
Cool. It's cool. Like it is just cool. Like it's a great place. So can't wait to see. No,
I'm gonna add all these suggestions for later.
Yeah.
The Arkham website is also fun. They have a tracker for the U.S. government. So if you ever want to see how much crypto they hold, that's my source that I go to.
Oh yeah, that's right. Can I just type in U.S. government? Does it do it? U.S. government. That is so funny.
There it is. Look at that.
You can just do that. That's right. Wow. Only a cool 20 bill. Yeah, 20 billion. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 20 bill. Yeah.
Richard has more ETH than them. That's insane.
Wild.
We're gonna keep saying that for a while, I think. Look into RH owns everyone except the ETH Foundation, which that would be funny if it flipped. Well, if they keep selling, that's the joke, right? If they keep selling, there's gonna be more. It's like
there's an unfortunate amount of truth to that little ism there.
They just keep selling, just keep founding. They just keep not worrying about price. Literally, Richard's like, I care more about the price of Ethereum than Vitalik does. It cracks me up. Amazing video. If you have not seen the Richard,
probably have more ETH.
It is, yeah. Well, that's the thing. He is smarter, richer. I mean, 69D chess. Like I'm very excited for this year and the next year to play out because, guys, when he's unmuzzled, when he's unbuckled, when he's unbothered by the sham cases, and when he's ready to come out and get back to things, which I think he will be at some point. Watch out, crypto. Jeez, Richard Hart he's going to be back. He's like dipping his toes. It seems like right now, but boy, when he jumps in the pool. Well, no, there's a fat joke in that. All the water comes out. No, that's not what I was going to say. If he jumps in the pool, then he's going to beat up all the sharks. I don't know where to go with that one, but you know what I'm saying. The whale does eat sharks. Maybe they do. I should ask ChatGPT, do whales eat sharks? Maybe. Who knows? All right, let's diverge back into interesting things to talk about. What else we got? What do you guys got going on? What is interesting that you guys have been seeing? I got a couple more topics to get to, but I want to check in with the panel. What's worth talking about in the Pulsechain ecosystem and Ethereum as well? Like when price go up, all that stuff, Dev.
Oh gosh, I'm a nerd. Go for it.
I was just gonna say something quick, but I thought Richard sounded I thought he sounded pretty excited during his what do you call it, voice recording or whatever you want to call it. But just for what it's worth, I think he wants to come back. Like even just I listened to the whole thing. Like it didn't sound like it didn't sound like he was like regretting or having to it was a pain in his ass to record the video or anything like that. He sounded really excited, like he wanted to be essentially doing that, but maybe he just can't for whatever reason. But I think when we're talking about I think you wanted to bring up some debate stuff in terms of Pulsechain and stuff, RHMax, but I know Richard, I think when he was doing his debates, that was big for onboarding and stuff, because I think a lot of people got to especially if they could see through a lot of, I'll say the antics of the outrage marketing of Richard Hart. If you could just listen to what he was saying in terms of the actual debate, I think he even objectively speaking probably won a lot of debates. Even I think I brought this up on your stream before, but what's his name? Not Peter Schiff. What's the other guy's name who crashed
Peter
out on
Thiel.
Richard Hart? No, I
Was it
actually
Peter
don't think
too?
his name was. I
No,
don't think his name
McCormick,
was
right?
Peter. Yeah,
Oh, the
McCormick.
Lions
Yeah,
Den guy, the Alex guy, or oh no, Peter. Okay.
yeah. I think it was it Alex McCormick or something like that. But he,
There's Peter McCormick, Alex something, the Australian guy, and there's I don't know the other guy you guys talking about. Yeah, but I think you're talking about Peter McCormick though, Krong. I think.
I think so. I think so.
Peter
But I
Griffin,
remember when that stream and Richard was. I think he did like multiple debates with him. Like I think there was like a few different parts of it, but that was like not. I think that was like that was kind of the almost like the gold standard of Richard, because he was a little bit of like he was kind of shitting on Peter a little bit, but at the same time like Peter was just not giving him even the time of day to like listen to actually what Richard was saying relative to just like blabbing out like, whatever rhetoric. So
scam.
yeah, so
Yeah, I remember that one.
but yeah, so
This is the
yeah,
one
it'd
where
be cool.
I was just gonna say I think this is the one where they talked about the recent one where they talked about Richard or Pulsechain or something. They probably didn't. Somebody clipped it. Getting drawn in the Hex community. Yeah, this one. Eric Wall and Peter McCormick could be secret Hexicans, could be super big whales in the community. I don't know.
I think Eric is he is a covert Hexican, whether he admits it or not. Like he definitely like he probably has an alt Twitter account and it's like tweeting out with like the rest of the crowd and stuff. Like he's probably the biggest Mexican. So
anyone want to meme this with like Eric Wall onboarding Peter McCormick into Hex? This is how you do onboarding. You do podcasts to onboard other famous people. Not crazy, actually. Yeah, that was a conversation I remember came up. I'm pretty sure he was like talking about how SEC's. I can't remember what he said. I want to think. Don't quote me on it. I want to think that Peter said something about SEC is going to get him or something like that. He was like totally like, oh yeah, they're so confident in this case, and then now we won, so there's that. We can take infinite amount of victory laps because it is worth it. It is so amazing to feel that too.
Bitfinesse has a good comment there. He says, watching influencers develop the 1,000-yard stare as they realize live on stream that Richard was spitting hard facts and correct about crypto was absolutely priceless.
Man, there was so many epic streams. If you're new to Richard, like there's well, first of all, go to my channel RHMax.tv and go to the vintage RH, and there's only about 250 clips of him over time that are really really good. And then there's also just his 100+ streams. I actually posted there's a spreadsheet of all the different ones too of him, different places and spaces and different channels and all this stuff. Anyways, he has a history of going for like hours and hours with people and just like, spitting some knowledge. So if you're new to RH, you got to look into RH. Maybe even go to lookinrh.com. There you go.
Go for it.
I'm still waiting for the Michael Saylor, Richard Hart debate. I think it was like I actually think they tried setting it up, but I would definitely like to see that, especially in like in 2025 or 2026 or something like that would be pretty crazy. So
who do y'all want to see him? I want to see Michael Saylor, and then what's that guy's Matt? What's his something Maulers? Jack Maulers, is that his name? I think he's
photo
like
for Satoshi there. Oh my gosh.
A lot of these would be great debates.
Yeah. Pomp it. Oh, if he debated Pomp, that's got to be a good one. That would be a good one.
He's got to debate SBF in jail. That would be
live from prison.
Wow. I mean, you got SBF here. You got Roger. I mean, he's already did Roger Ver a couple times. Those were great streams as well. Richard Branson. Who wants to see him debate Richard Branson? That would be probably no. I don't imagine he's very up on debate stuff. I don't know. Snoop Dogg, how about that one?
Jack Dorsey would go crazy.
Actually, dude, I would pay money to see Jack Dorsey and him. Okay, question. How much money would you pay live to see Jack Dorsey or any favorite person on here other than Elon debate Richard? I guess you can pick Elon too, but like feel like that would be more of a premium.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably pay I'd probably pay $1,000, $500 to $1,000 to see that
In
live.
person?
Yeah, in person. Yeah,
In person, front row seat.
you're in the mix. I mean, you could see him pretty good. Maybe not front row, but
$1,000. Sure, $1,000.
Fuck $1,000. I would pay that.
I was
Solid.
thinking pay-per-view prices, but if we're talking like live tickets, all right, that's something else.
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
We'll
live
have
one that-
instead of like the influencer fights, it'll be like Richard Hart debates and stuff, and like live arenas and whatnot. So
2 chairs in the middle of a boxing ring.
I mean, if nobody's
yeah,
seen
and they're
this,
just having a debate.
Yeah.
there was an Eric Wall, Richard Hart in-person debate that happened in Europe somewhere, and that was kind of captured. Or, yeah, I mean, there's this one. I don't know, maybe this one. Yeah, so that happened too. By the way, maybe people forgot that, but there has been at least one in-person debate that I can think of. Yeah. And then he toad faked Soshi on stage or whatever. That was that one. But it wasn't really-
RH versus Iggy Azalea.
I forgot to look in chat. Every time I say something that I don't necessarily ask chat for an answer, they always give me the funniest ones too. I feel like they just
Paul
comment.
is on it today. He's
He's
on
killing it. Paul's killing it. The one thing I thought was super interesting here too that I don't hear anyone really talking about is that not only is there a website that could list the Pulsechain Treasury, Richard himself, I did not expect to see this. I didn't expect him to opine on this or acknowledge it, I guess, because him saying Ethereum, you might be missing one, signaling you may be missing the Pulsechain Treasury, signaling that there is some sort of Pulsechain Treasury, that it does exist. But him saying it not directly, he's always vague, but like him pointing it out gives me, I know we shouldn't expect any of the SAC funds to be used for any of the stuff, blah, blah, blah. I think it's unreasonable that they wouldn't be, because what else would they use for it, blah, blah, blah. But him acknowledging it, I was like, whoa, that seemed bullish to me that he would even like point that out. It wasn't somebody in the community pointed it out. It was Richard himself. And then we picked it up and ran with it. So what do y'all think of that? Of like him, is there another example of him acknowledging that this could be something of a treasury or owning a lot of ETH? Or you think it's just kind of like pointing to his personal, I don't know, his brand? I don't know. What do y'all make of that?
I think the things you have to point to are the things that he said in the streams in the past, which is he's looking to make 1 million millionaires. And he's someone that understands how to affect price through liquidity pools and market buys and stuff like that. So I think that's largely where that kind of sentiment comes from. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's really ever talked about starting just a reserve for some reason. I know that when it comes to operating DeFi projects and stuff, people do have their own reserves to help support the price of the token in bad times, to ensure that it doesn't just get absolutely nuked, or that the core functions don't go offline or stuff like that. But when it comes to Pulsechain and PulseX and Hex, everything is pretty much self-regulating. So it doesn't, I don't think it requires that kind of treasury to support it. But at the same time, though, I think like the guy clearly has plans for it to some degree, whether he's buying more giant diamonds or supercars or whatever, or if he's actually just looking to pump price and make, I mean, he's in it for the glory is what he said at this point. So that's the operating assumption that I've got, which is that he's trying to make Pulsechain do very well when it comes to the community, the chart, the narrative, all that stuff. So that's the argument I'd point to when people say that the SAC funds are there to pump price of the ecosystem.
Anyone have any commentary on the acknowledgement or speculation on the SAC funds? Either way.
I mean, he is a Ethereum aligned entity. So yeah, he should be on that list. Whatever you want to call it, whether it's just one dude, because it's not really a DAO. I don't know if it's a company. Who knows? Maybe it's I think there were hints at him having created a nonprofit as an entity.
That's the most reasonable thing that somebody would do, being in a situation before it takes off. Like it seems like, yeah, right. Why wouldn't you do that, right?
And I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to dox the name of it or where he created it, where that entity exists. But I mean, if we're being purely technical, it would maybe be, Pulsechain nonprofit or some other name. Who knows, right? What he called it, and it would be category nonprofit and a shit ton of ETH. Or we can just go off what we've been saying, call it the Pulsechain Treasury, but I know people don't really like that. Calling it a treasury, I don't know. You just call it a bag, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, there's ETH sitting in wallets with keys that he most likely controls. And like you said, like this is a really, really strong signal. He rarely talks directly. He's very vague, but you can read between the lines. And with something like this, Ethereum, we might be missing one. I mean, clearly he's talking about his ETH, big ETH bag. And we're not even counting the ETH that he might still have from the Hex AA days. So that could put him well above the Ethereum Foundation. And when he says that he's more aligned than ETH, he doesn't say he's more aligned than Coinbase or almost as aligned as ETH. Maybe he's saying directly, yo, I have more ETH than you, more than 265K. Who knows? I couldn't really track down the rest of the AA ETH. I remember a few years ago I was, but then it just, he's good at just sending them through so many addresses where you just lose track or end up back at the same address. And you're like, oh, crap, I lost it. Lost the trail. Probably was intentional.
Well, yeah, the
who knows how much ETH he has.
And then I mean, all the Bitcoin from way back and stuff too. Like the dude doesn't need any more money. Like that's the thing. Like the most narrow way of looking at it is, oh, this is just like a long con. It's going to be a rug eventually, and he's just going to sell. He's going to dump all the stuff, and he's going to run away on some island. That literally makes no sense whatsoever if you know anything about his background and his values and what his is like. Looking at what has happened so far, he ain't rugged anybody like that. So, anyways, Colin, do you have something?
Mm-hmm.
I think he obviously cares about his ETH stack. Whether I have no idea what he's going to use it on, but I think he is treating it. I don't know whether in his mind it's like a pulse chain reserve, or maybe it's like maybe it is his personal Richard Hart reserve, and like maybe he is a whale who's interested in buying the prices of certain tokens that he likes up, that type of thing. But yeah, I have no idea what he's going to use it on, but I think he is implying of like, hey, like there is a massive kind of reserve here still. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
Huge. So huge. That ETH bag. I'm excited. I mean, whether it gets deployed, not deployed, whatever happens with it. I mean, it's just like, I don't know, there's like just so many amazing stuff going on in the community and people who, again, we've seen a lot of big buys too. I've seen, we had the 5555 ETH or 555.55 ETH bridged over, buying coins, stuff like that too. What, I don't know. People seem to be packing their bags and like getting ready for something. And it's been a while. So maybe after 2 years. All right, Hunter, I did a tweet the other day, and instead of 52 weeks to shake out the weekends, 104 weeks to shake out the weekends. maybe we just had to go with the double. Can we sell it on the? I want to get back to saying that. Could sell it on double. Could sell it on double. Could sell it on double. I want to start talking about Hex in dollar terms, not the sub penny stuff. Dollar terms, and selling on doubles and letting people make their dreams come true. That's what I'm going to get back to. Be fun. Anyways, moving on to the next topic: debates for the Pulsechain community. I've been living under a rock, or you're calling who was unaware about the FlexNet debate I heard earlier. There was a debate, me and Dipcatcher. I think it went really well. 2.5 hours on the show, points back and forth. I took the side of disagreeing. He took the agreeing side. We had a very civil, interesting conversation. It was very informative for anyone who was willing to take a listen to it and check it out and decide for yourself based on the facts and what you value and all the stuff too. And I want to see more debates. I want to watch debates. I want other people to host debates, and I watch them and come up with these things because I think they're super good for engagement, for learning, for getting people excited, for figuring stuff out. All this. I think there's so many pros to debates. So I'm willing to do more debates, and I'm willing to host them and all that stuff as well. And shout out to Gerardo for during stream making a Charlie Kirk style debate me table with me sitting in it. Booth
and the hats.
Like that.
It's all good.
Brought it's okay. It's a good one. And then also I think he also did another rendition. Do I need to click on this? Did you post it here? Yeah. Oh no, where is it? No, where is it? Oh, I got to click on the original one. Yeah, there we go. Also added a bodyguard. Looks very strong. Looks very bodyguardish. Looks like he's not taking.
Looks like D-Roots.
D-Roots did pop in my mind as well. Was that inspired? Or did you just like type in bodyguard deal?
No, I literally just copied his PFP and yours into ChatGPT.
Oh, okay. So you did copy his B Roots.
Yeah.
PFP. Okay. Nice. Never yet to meet B Roots, but maybe one day as well. But I put this out here, and please chat. Do chime in, and we'll go through a couple of these as well of things you think are interesting to talk about in the community. I think there's plenty of controversial topics. I mean, there's PDI, there's EHEX versus PHEX. There's, panel, help me out. Like, what are the most controversial things? I mean, what are things in the community that need more conversation for people to understand them?
Pump tires.
There's the meme coin pivot or promotion by RH, which is very different than what he's talked about in the past on different things. I think that's an interesting one. What else, guys?
Role of meme coins is an interesting one. I think there's a larger one and one that I personally care about. The large one I would say is it worth actually trying to start building more bridges into other blockchains and ecosystems? And what are the pros and cons of that kind of thing? And then as far as the personal one goes, I still think the jury is out when it comes to GameFi and whether or not video gaming actually needs blockchain technology or not. I can understand the argument for not having it, which is that you have the ability to roll back changes if you need. But at the same time, I do think that there are certain aspects that blockchain can introduce, which people inside of that ecosystem care about. I mean, like, for instance, like owning your own digital assets, I think is something that's been of higher importance lately, because we've seen a lot of live service games go offline. People actually like starting petitions and potential lawsuits about like, hey, I own this video game. You no longer, you shut down the servers and I can no longer play this thing that I paid for. Or there's even other stuff when it comes to like Nintendo for the Switch 2. I think they updated their terms of service, which was saying stuff like, you are actually not purchasing a Switch 2, you're purchasing the license to a Switch 2.
Gosh.
And if you do anything like modding, then we can remotely shut off your device permanently, effectively.
Right to repair, bro. Right to repair. I thought that we solved this.
Stuff like that. So I guess to get back to the original point there, I think that whether or not games could use blockchain technology to certain degrees, I think that's an interesting debate I'd love to hear going on between people in the industry on both sides of the fence, whether it's gaming or whether it's blockchain.
Gotcha. I'm just reading a couple of these as well. I think the marketing is really interesting and something I've talked about a little bit. Where do we need? I guess I could just say this point too. Do we need centralized exchanges? I feel like half the community, or maybe less than half, I feel like a lot of people are just like, you know what? I want less DeFi. I want price go up. Let me just whatever. Let's do full CEX. Do we need, like, how much do we need centralized parties to promote these things? You know, we just talked about strategic reserve. Wouldn't it be amazing if we were on there? Now look what happens if they don't add us. It's kind of like, man, you know, it would be great to have. Do we need it though? That kind of thing. Same thing with coin listing sites. Are we forever on the back page of CoinMarketCap, the famous 201, 202 type of thing? And then they accidentally flipped it over one day, which was funny. By accident, they correctly list Hex from time to time back then. Or can we just do it like we did, the grassroots marketing? Hex coming, good macro conditions. At that time, we had world's greatest marketer there on our side as well. But how much do we need to rely on centralized entities? Or do we just need some fiat on and off ramps? Do we just need places to, you know, enter and exit? And we do another 10,000x without having a ton of exchange listings. I think that would be an interesting one too, just on how much we need centralized counterparties and stuff.
Centralized exchange conversation, I think, is an interesting one for sure. I think what you're probably going to get in that kind of a debate is the end goal that you're looking for. If you're looking to be as like DeFi true and pure as possible, then the answer is no for centralized exchanges. If you're looking at trying to do something like marketing or just go for mass appeal or more on ramps and more onboards and more eyeballs and stuff, then I think that there is there's the argument for that for sure.
Well, I don't think we had all these calls for centralized exchanges until the price went down so long and so far. So I think a lot of it is red candle syndrome. It is like, I really want the price to go up. So what am I willing to trade off to do that? And then later we can talk about DeFi. Oh, we can sprinkle it in. We can bring them on eventually. I mean, I can make a case for, I can make both cases. I can say, hey, centralized exchanges, bring more people in. We'll give a taste of DeFi later. Give people an easy way to buy and sell it. There's liquidity, there's ranking sites, there's more legitimacy, there's promotion, there's all these things. And I can make the other side saying, hey, they can lose your coins if they get hacked. Not your keys, not your coins. It's not real DeFi. All the other things are just hopium to get people in. They're going to attract the wrong people. They're not going to be true believers, blah, blah, blah. I can make both cases right now. It's just like that is the piece where, what do you value? I think people have, in the red candle times, value. They just want anything to happen that makes the bag go up. And they will, don't want anything to happen that will make the bag go down. So they're willing to sacrifice, a lot of the things that they used to value much more because priorities have changed. So I think a lot of it's that. But like, where do we fit? Like, how do we reconcile that in a space where we're trying to go up from here? Hopefully, I think everyone wants to go up from here at least. And but we still have that DeFi ethos. Like, that's like a really hard balance to have.
All good points.
Gerardo Kong, you want price to go up?
Yeah, I don't know. In terms of marketing, like, I think there could even be a debate of like, should, like, I know Richard said that. I think he said a lot of things, but if I remember, he was like I think he was like pointing fingers at Vitalik Little, saying that he needs to do a better job promoting his product. And then I think at the same time, Richard will also say that like we as the community will also have to do the marketing for it, like essentially his products as well, in that sort of sense. I think it could also be probably a debate surrounding like that marketing, like you're saying, Max, in terms of like, should Richard even like not even do marketing in terms like the outrage marketing he was doing before, but even just like very like he's doing his like basic like Christmas, and like I guess he was excited during the SEC type of like streams, but we saw something like more frequent. I think it would boost us and throughout the community and stuff. So I wonder, I don't know, I wonder if that would be a debate, even if someone would think that maybe Richard isn't responsible for any of that type of thing, and it is like all on us. Probably take that side as well, but I don't know. I think people like to see when like someone's like, at least someone's like steering the car or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, and Richard and the community are on the same team. We're aligned, and it's like 50-50, right? He does his thing, we do our thing. He used to stream a lot, and that was great. His videos are great marketing. They reach hundreds of thousands of eyeballs, so that's obviously super good. And it would require a fleet of Hexkins and Pulsechains to achieve those same impressions and engagement. But he plays his part, all right, and his part largely, you could say it's speculative, but his part largely is just pumping the ecosystem with ETH when ETH gets above 4 or 5K, whatever his price point is, start dumping whenever he calls the top. I guess you would assume he's probably dumping that ETH, and I mean that's a big part of him to play, and to reconcile the kind of centralized exchanges and the new retail and the eyeballs versus that. I mean, he's made it very clear we don't need them. They would help, and again, there are trade-offs with being on centralized exchanges and whatnot, but we don't need them if one person can single-handedly pump the ecosystem to Valhalla. And some would say, well, that's not in the ethos of DeFi. But we've always had this sort of issue of reconciling humans and DeFi, because at the end of the day, there are humans that need to do things, need to press buttons. For now, maybe in the future you have some AI or something, but for now, there are humans. You can't get over that. You just need to pick the right ones. Is my call. And yeah, we're each playing our part. The community's playing our part, marketing, whatever, bringing in new eyes that they'll help. Of course, if you get another Godwill into the ecosystem with a ton of money, that helps. It just helps, but we don't need too much other than what we already have. Like, we're already poised to win. We already have win conditions, in my opinion.
Win conditions. I like it.
Yeah.
Good points. I'll go back to something Kong mentioned as well. It's like, it kind of reminded me about people looking for leadership. And I've said this before, like I think, actually at the Pulse conference, I think my opening remarks on the first day was talking about leadership and how I don't think we need like the whole idea. Again, just Kong was talking about like people looking for anyways, it reminded me of the ability, our natural instinct to look for people to lead, to do something, to do all that stuff. And I think that's the spirit of DeFi and the spirit of permissionless building and decentralized community and all that stuff. I think that is so precious, and like one of my like strongest principles that I like so much is that he doesn't work for us, we don't work for him, we don't work for each other unless you sign some contract, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And I think our ability to just go make contributions and do stuff on our own and put things together and work together when we want to and don't want to and all that stuff too. To me, leading by example is like one of the biggest strengths that we can come from that. Like there are naturally these trade-offs when you have decentralized communities and we're working in technology and stuff like that. I just don't think we need a centralized, like everyone's used to, like, leader, tell us what to do, leader, come back, leader, pumper bags, leader, do these things. I really try to decouple myself from that and just be like, leader, you're a cool guy and I hope you help us a lot, but also I feel like we already have the tools we need and we can do more stuff. I can do more stuff. I can lead by example. And I don't need, we don't need some central figure to do all these things. Again, it's nice to have, there's all these advantages with it, but I think that's just I don't know, it's really empowering to be like, to just go do stuff on your own and make those kind of contributions without having these centralized leadership positions like we're so used to as just innate human nature, I think.
Yeah, community building and movement building are kind of paradoxical when it comes to DeFi tenants, because DeFi tenants are like pretty much trustless transactions that anyone can verify or be a part of effectively. But when it comes to actually like trying to build community, and if you have a movement with a leader trying to drive it, those are paradoxical because you're trying to build things with people that you trust and you want good actors in your space, but at the same time, you've specifically built the space to not even require or care about that in the first place. So it seems like a difference in alignment when it comes to what are your goals and your outcomes there. So if you're invested, which I largely believe that this space is that you are looking for some sort of increase in value or some sort of transfer from value from one space to another. You can kind of just imagine it as like ratio trading the dollar into crypto assets. So at the end of the day, the overall value of what you've been working towards is higher than you started. Then at the same time, though, it's like building the community. It's going to take some money. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some sweat getting there. And then also when it comes to getting your project, your community out there to get more eyeballs and more people and more actual users, that's going to, again, require effort and marketing and leadership, which, again, your time is not free. I mean, granted, you're not like paying a physical dollar to be here watching the stream or something, but it is something. There's an opportunity cost to all of it. So I think it's going to be one of the great things. We're going to have to square that circle at some point, so to speak, which is we're going to have to figure out how to work within those bounds and how to make the goals align.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of marketing and community marketing and all that, even Richard has said this before, and I agree with it a lot, which is just like, I'm sure all of you guys do more than just crypto. I'm sure you're full humans who have an array of hobbies and interests and whatnot. And like you Max, like just, I believe people would love to see you making videos on software or on hardware or something. And at the end of it, or you could just sprinkle in like, oh yeah, and I use these skills to like mine crypto, to mine Hex, mine Pulsechain or something. Or even the keyboard streams that Richard used to do. That would bring so much more eyeballs. Or even myself, I'm doing video game streaming now. Like, it's just about finding what you're into, what you're interested in other than crypto, combining it and pulling those people in. Because I think that's a lot more reach than you otherwise would get talking into, the echo chamber or other crypto bros. Because like most of crypto has already heard of Hex, Pulsechain, and Richard. They just have a bad opinion. They're like, all right, we don't need you. Let's go get, the Solana bros, video gamers who got wrecked last cycle. Let's go talk to the keyboard nerds. Let's go, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're all interested in more stuff than just crypto. So I think bringing those people in is huge. And we don't see enough people doing it.
I think that's actually another great debate topic too, because I could do, I guess, the counter to that, to doing more generic content with sprinkled in crypto is like for example, I would think every stream that I do that isn't Pulsechain, Hex related, all that stuff, isn't contributing towards the community being able to get more information or have that camaraderie or be able to engage the current community and keep them from leaving, like that kind of thing too. Like, I'm not just myself, like talking about in general. Like if we have any streamer or anyone creating content who shifts away from that, unless there's other ones that fill in the gap or otherwise, it's just like less content. And now people who we do onboard, they're going to see less people talking about Pulsechain. They're going to see less content created because that attention has been diverted away from it, or the people have not been engaged enough. Or it's kind of like the same argument of like, it's really hard to stay in Pulsechain when we only have Hex to play with. Hey, here's pump.tires. Hey, here's all these other meme coins. Hey, here's all these builders forking all these products, like that kind of piece. So I think it's interesting to think about like how, again, unless you're an organization, unless you have all these people in a team and stuff working on it, if you're an individual, where is the best ROI for the time? Is it spent talking to new communities? Is it spent going, in-person events? Or is it spent like engaging and rallying and keeping the current community like together? I think that's a interesting balance too for that you made me think of on that. And it's like it's not me voting to, not do other content outside of this. It's just me saying like, there's another side of that is taking away from like the community needs. For example, I did this counter the other day. I can't remember what stream, but I was like, let's say that, me, I don't want to say me because I don't think I'm like the average example of these things, but any streamer stopped streaming and started doing, keyboard reviews, or started doing, whatever other stuff, or just stopped doing that part that was so pivotal to the community that they engage people with and started doing something else. And they went and onboarded, 5 or 10 more people or 100 people or whatever it is. Maybe they were successful with it. Those people coming in, again, I know we're kind of like shorthanded on streamers these days compared to what it used to be, but those people coming in, when they look at Pulsechain community and they think, oh, wow, would that person being missing, in a way, do they still feel that vibrancy? Do they still feel that, oh, wow, there's content coming out every day from all these different people? If everyone sort of starts doing that, you know what I'm saying? Like making that the less engagement with the community versus engaging.
I see what you're saying.
Outside. Yeah.
See, I'll push back on that a little bit. I think we're always going to have people just doing pure Pulsechain Hex content, and that's great, and we need that. But I sometimes make the joke of like, how many videos do we need on explaining how t-shirts work? Like, it's cool, right? But there is a lot of evergreen content out there, and I just think it's cool. Like from the outside, if you look in, you're like, oh, they're a very diverse community of people who not only talk about their coins but do other stuff. I think that's very enticing on a human level. Like you do more than just that. Because sometimes it looks like, oh, they're just trying to pump their bags, which of course we are, but we're also doing other things, and there are more humans. Like I think that would grow the community as opposed to take away. Like sure, it might take away a little bit for some people, but they can do both. Like I can do my streams on crypto, on Pulsechain, and I can also do the video game streams on the side. And I think it's just about working a little harder and doing more. It's just about more. I don't think it's either or. I think it's and.
I think I could totally make a case that the working outside the Pulsechain and Hex streams, just for example, since this is the one that came up, and onboarding more people, again, assuming that the whole community doesn't start doing that. Assuming I don't turn on my thing and there's like, oh, there's no one talking about Hex and Pulsechain anymore. They're all talking about these other content and they're bringing people in, but these assuming I think the ROI is, I can make a case the ROI is in the favor of going and doing different things for different communities, as long as we still have the strong base. Maybe that's the point, is like, if we can maintain the strong base of Hex and Pulsechain streamers, for example, content creators, X army, Pulsechain army on X, and still go do other things that attract new people who aren't into crypto, who don't, haven't heard of Pulsechain and already have a negative opinion of it. And we can show them like, no, look, here's my favorite people to watch. Here's the onboarding videos. Here's look into I want to say look into Hex, look into whatever site Gerardo wants to recommend, like those kind of things. I can see the ROI being, I can make a case that ROI is probably more positive there than, and then like, putting in the work, like you said, like just putting in more work for this is probably the key.
Yeah. Like just look at dollar cost crypto. He's a great example. I think one of his most viewed videos on Instagram, which is another thing, a lot of us aren't even on Instagram, is some clip of him talking about the Diddy case. And I got like 1 million views, and that boosts his following. And some of them stick around, some don't, but it's like a funnel, right? You have a conversion rate. You have this many people actually stuck around, this many people actually got converted into, whether a sale, in our case, it's into a community member. Another great example is Super Hex Win. Some of his most viewed videos are on motorcycles and cars, like his Lambo or whatever. So they're reaching outside of the bubble and reaching way more people and getting those eyeballs by just talking about other stuff. But the majority of their content, if you look at it, is PulseChain.
Yep, that's a good
balance.
Point. Look at that. We didn't have I would say, look at it. We already had a mini debate just talking about the debates we should have. I love
Boom.
it. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. One other thing, we'll wrap up here in a second. And I'm actually getting even more thinking about doing, especially like in-person events, because I feel like that is something that we don't have a lot of people. I've seen some people in the community doing, but I think in-person events outside of I love PulseChain conferences and stuff, but in-person events that aren't PulseChain specific, that are outside in other crypto venues and stuff, where you can talk to people. They're in crypto. Some of them actually, I don't know, you go to conferences. I'm always shocked every time I go to a PulseChain conference in person. There are people there that are like new to crypto too. So I kind of think it does attract people who aren't already in crypto to those conferences. And they're probably much more willing to have conversations with you because they just want to learn and stuff too. Especially if you're a speaker, they probably think you know something if you're speaking at the conference and that stuff too. So anyways, we'll see. No expectations, but I think I've got some ideas on some more marketing stuff as well. I don't have any Lambos or flashy motorcycles to take videos in. Shout out Super X Win. He's out there winning with that. I'm less interested in talking about P. Diddy. However, shout out to DCC for taking that off, apparently. I'm sure he talks about a lot of different topics and stuff. That dude's a machine as well. But chat, are you not educated? Are you not feeling the good conversation of like how to go forward, grow this place, keeping with the grassroots, but reaching out to other communities? I feel like you got a ton of great notes from this stream in and of itself. However, moving on to the final piece before we wrap up here. I really enjoyed this conversation. It's a clip from Spaces, about 25 minutes long. I clipped 5 minutes of it. I think it was Solid Hex talking about PulseX inflation, talking about just ETH and stuff like that too, talking about 12K, maybe 20K, all that stuff, ETH, and 4-year cycle, December, all that fun stuff is kind of where I got some of it from as well. Talking about earlier. What do you all think that Ethereum, like, are we back on Ethereum? Would it go up like 50-60% in a week or two? Just crazy run up. Or is that too much? Maybe 30%, whatever it is. And then is maybe, okay, so I guess two questions here. One, does ETH do well this year? Two, is 4-year cycle intact? Some variation in the ballpark. Whoever wants to go first.
I think 4-year cycle is. Oh, sorry, go for it.
I'll just say, I think it will be dependent on how well Bitcoin does. Like if Bitcoin isn't like into the 200Ks, then maybe we don't see ETH like maybe we don't see ETH past like 10,000 or something like this. And I'm just kind of throwing out like rough numbers, just like as an example. But yeah, I would think it's fair to say like if you maybe see Bitcoin top out at like 150K or 130K, if that is like the bearish case or something like that, maybe Ethereum isn't. Maybe it still goes to 6,000 or 7,000. But yeah, I would say I think I'll be watching Bitcoin. And I have been looking at, like, we were looking at Arkham earlier, and it's quite interesting. You'll see like even BlackRock's a good example of, it looks like they'll make tops of Bitcoin and then they'll start to reallocate when the price is lower. So for example, last time Bitcoin was like 95, maybe like essentially last time Bitcoin was above 90K, before this whole like Trump kind of issue, like in April, BlackRock was kind of selling down their Bitcoin holdings. And then as of recently, like earlier in May, they started to rebuy and reallocate back into their Bitcoin. And last time I checked, they their Bitcoin holdings had made a new all-time high in terms of the amount of Bitcoins they're actually holding. So that it's also quite maybe correlated, maybe it's not like one-to-one or anything like that, but it also kind of matches with the price. You could see a little bit with like Bitcoin just like barely making it back to its like previous all-time high in that same sort of similar time frame. So I think it will depend on like how much these like institutions decide to like bid up these prices and how long, like if they decide to hold on and not sell for like the long term and stuff. So we will see.
I think the 4-year cycle is still very much intact. I mean, considering we're flirting with all-time highs right now, we still got 6 months left.
No, rugged.
Who knows?
He said the 4-year cycle is intact and RHMax just took him off the stream.
That's that's one thing I don't disagree
There he is.
with, or I don't want to disagree with, at least.
Thanks,
No,
Google Chrome.
that's just a joke. But yeah.
Yeah. You got rugged, man. It's the world, some world organization might have rugged you, but go ahead.
WorldCoin, they're mad I didn't give them my retina scan, so they're trying to rug me.
You gave me your eyeballs.
I'll try to pick it up.
Giving away too much alpha, so
the 4-year cycle is still intact. We still have 6 months left effectively if you follow the traditional 4-year timeline, if you go top to top. You can also measure bottom to bottom as well. That's also a very reliable measure as well. But I mean, I think that what is the old adage that history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, which is that the cycles don't really repeat, but they usually rhyme. So we're seeing something new in this one. We have a lot of traditional finance money getting in through the ETFs. It's been largely dominant this cycle. And I think it was Kong earlier that's talking about watching the BlackRock inflows and outflows. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. I like going over to coinglass.com. That's where I go look at all that stuff. You can see how each of the different ETFs are making different strategies. So I still think that we're early overall in the space. I don't see a fundamental change. And until I actually see that fundamental change manifest on the charts and the way that the cycle moves, I'm going to assume that the 4-year cycle is going to hold because it's been very reliable up to this point.
Nice. Yeah. I was just trying to look at the Grayscale ETH discount to
They've been
net asset
selling it.
value, and it's paywalled now, so I can't see it. But I mean, I guess my take on it is I watch a lot of Ben Cowan. I'm going to be honest. He kind of is of the opinion, and I kind of see it, that the monetary policy view kind of beat out the 4-year cycle view. Although this might be a mid-curve take. It's just like, cute, like the guy on the left and the guy on the right, like 4-year cycle, and I'm here in the middle being like monetary policy. It's just like you overlay ETH BTC with the what is it on TradingView, like BALCL or something, like the balances of international central banks or something like that, and it's pretty much the same chart, and it kind of speaks to a risk on risk off environment. And so his whole take is like, okay, we need to see QT at least stop, and maybe QE doesn't start, maybe it's just flat, and it's like a 2017 cycle where we had our alts, like ETH BTC ran and then alts ran just in the last like 3 months. I think it was like October to January. It was that quick. And then everyone gets all excited and, oh my God, alt season is here. And then boom, before you know it, it's over. And that was it. And it's all like, that's where you get your 100Xs and your 1000Xs in a month and whatnot. So yeah.
Kind of narrative, I think is very plausible, by the way.
Yeah. And it aligns with the 4-year cycle a little bit too. Not to say that it can't go into early 2026, but I think it was Crypto Kong who said it, that wait, I think I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, Bitcoin needs to cross all-time highs here, get above 110K, and then I think that's when Ethereum can start running a little more and start actually consistently outperforming Bitcoin. And then you see that ETH BTC chart actually go up. The last couple years, I think 2023 and 2024, Q3 was weak, and then Q4 was strong. So if it plays out the same as the last 2 years, and it doesn't have to, we might see a lull going into into Q3. We might not. I think it really does depend on whether Bitcoin breaks 110K in the coming, I want to say like next month or so, maybe in 2 months, next few weeks, because it's flirting with all-time highs. And then that's when Ethereum can start running. You know, I guess downside risk, worst case scenario, ETH goes back to 1200, but it doesn't need to, right? And in that case, maybe ETH BTC does a higher low, while or even a double bottom, while Ethereum USD actually does, you know, a higher low on its chart, and then from there, you know, we can finally just run and finish off the cycle strong. Is my hope. Like I'm bullish, right? I think 4-year cycle does have merit, and I think this is a Pulsechain bull stream. I'm bullish, so it's just I want to see Bitcoin go above 110K, Ethereum starts running. Hopefully we don't get a black swan or a recession or any of that crap. But if we do, well, then that would be the bottom, in my opinion. If we haven't seen it already, with ETH going like, what did it go to? It's like 1,500, something crazy.
1,500 and run up to like 26 right now.
There you go. And so if Ethereum can get above, obviously, like I think what's the OA's entry price, like 37.70. You know, hopefully the OA learned its lesson to DCA out instead of just full clipping at 3,800, and you know, maybe at 5K we start seeing a little bit of that get sold off. At 6K, a little bit sold off, and you know, if we do reach 12K, maybe there's still a little moon bag there. 20K, like I know your targets are, like your stream says on its title 12K, and that clip you showed me shows like 20K ETH. Like maybe we do get that, maybe we don't. Bitcoin only tripled its all-time high last cycle, and this cycle, what would a double or triple be? Like 140, 200. You know, if things are good, maybe we get 240. But even if Ethereum only hits double its last high, like 10K, that's still good, dude. That treasury or that bag is really big. It's a lot of ETH. It's huge. Huge. Billions and billions. And that's a lot of money, dude. Like even if it just doubles, what's 643 times 2? That's 1.3 B. That's a lot of money, dude. And liquidity's thin right now. So yeah. We'll see. It just really depends on Bitcoin, in my opinion, unfortunately. And on like quantitative tightening and all that.
Maybe never know.
It's possible. The quantitative easing and quantitative tightening talk. Now you're speaking my language, brother. I just spent like 3 hours last week watching Jerome Powell's press conferences. That's what I do for fun. Yeah, as it stands right now,
we need Zenith in the community to watch these things. Yes. Thank you for your service.
I do it. It also
strange
helps
definition of fun.
It helps if you put it at 1.5 times speed minimum.
Oh yeah.
But as far as the condition in the U.S. right now, if you watch the last one, it seems that quantitative easing is a little bit further out than people were initially hoping for. End of 2024, I think people the projection was like 4 rate cuts for 2025. We're almost halfway through. We haven't even. Did we have one? No, we have not had one this year yet. But the projection is now 2. And Jerome Powell's. I'm pretty sure it was 2024. They dropped it by
maybe
a half
late
point.
Okay. Might have been December or something like that. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
The point is, quantitative easing is a little further out than originally expected. So if that's what you're banking on, I may urge you to hedge your bets a little bit, especially considering based on the data that we're seeing and Jerome Powell seeing, the labor market's doing just fine. Inflation is coming down to a more steady level. And when it comes to all the tariff stuff, it appears we're approaching a more sustainable business environment, especially with a bunch of different countries renegotiating with the U.S. The China trade deal was massive. UK trade deal was massive. All the other different countries coming to the table. Yeah, it's looking like it could be a little bit back to business as normal. But yeah, quantitative easing and Bitcoin pumping, they kind of go hand in hand a bit. Mm-hmm. And if that's what you're relying on, it might be a little longer than you think.
Since you're all up in that space, what's your take on maybe not quantitative easing starting, but at least quantitative tightening stopping and just having kind of like that flat balance sheet? Because I think that's what happened in 2017 during that 2 to 3 month explosive ETH BTC and alt run. It wasn't even a quantitative easing. That was last cycle, but 2 cycles ago, it was just flat and we ran. So it could be like that. You know, I'm not necessarily betting on QE, but QT stopping might be a safer bet this year, no?
Yeah, QT has actually been going down pretty significantly. So not this last Fed meeting, but the one before it, Jerome Powell, they actually reduced their quantitative tightening by half effectively. Mm-hmm. And at this last meeting, they continued to run off the balance sheet. So the tightening is slowing. It's not gone, but it's slowing. I'd have to look back at the 2017 stuff in particular. I don't have that data memorized per se, but I think that tightening is going to, or loosening up the tightening, not easing, but reducing the tightening. It's going to, I guess real quick for the folks at home that don't know this about this stuff as much as I do. or care about, excuse me. That's the correct word. You probably know more than I do. Let's be real here. The federal funds rate is effectively the rate at which the banks loan to each other. What this does is it affects the amount of money that is created by fractional reserve banking. If you want to learn more about that, go ask Johnny Chaos. He'll talk your ear off for at least an hour. He's great on that. But what it does is it increases or decreases the money supply in the world. I know we spent a good chunk of time talking about 4-year cycle, but global liquidity cycle is actually arguably more important to the crypto markets and overall risk on appetite for kind of the world markets at large. So when it comes to the tightening stuff, reducing it, I think, is good. There is the idea of the natural rate, or the neutral rate, excuse me, which is where you're not, it's that perfect middle where you're not tight, you're not eased. I think we're maybe getting a little closer to that with the tightening reducing. I think that when you see that, you can start to see some more like normal GDP growth. And if you see sustainable business growth over the long term, then that creates the environment for people to really open up and go more risk on assets, which in my opinion, I think that traditional finance does see Bitcoin and crypto as a risk on asset. As much as we love and think about crypto as a store of value, I think that traditional markets still see it as that risk on asset. So you don't even need quantitative easing to see a good movement in the crypto market. I think the 4-year cycle still has independent variables of its own, but also if you can just get to a business ecosystem or environment where people are more willing to take risk on plays, I think that's going to be one of the things where you can see crypto make some good moves. I know that was long. Sorry.
I mean, the cat was the cherry on top. I like it.
Yesh.
Hi, cat.
Miss Marley. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Marley. Hey, Miss Marley. Gerardo's on mute. He's been talking for like the last 5 minutes. Yeah.
No, I haven't. Sorry. No. I mean, yeah, that's a good take. Yeah, in 2017 it was flat. I don't think we had QT or QE, and then ETH did its run. But then again, that was in its initial capitalization phase, so that could be a little different. But you know, I like to believe in something, right?
Believe in something. ThePulsechain.com. All right, gents. That's all we got time for today. Real quick though, whoever wants to go for it, we'll go around. You can say I don't make predictions if you want to. That's what I usually say. But ETH, since we're on ETH, ETH 12K over under by the end of the year.
Under.
I'm under, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So 11K it is. Here we go. Let's do it.
What's your take, RH?
11.99.
11.99. I don't know. I avoid predictions like the plague. However, I'm pretty bullish, man. End of the year, it is a tough question. At the end of the year, like, could it hit 12K? I don't know. I don't pretend to know these things, but I hope so. I hope it surprises everyone. Like, I hope someone who's been preparing their whole life for these things, and then the founder of Ethereum Foundation, both start pumping the crap out of the coins that make our backs go up. I hope both of them start pumping it up. But
my prediction is going to be largely based on pretty much how like the next 2-3 months goes for Ethereum. As it stands right now, I think 9 to 10 is a fair target. I think it's pretty close to that 50th percentile mark for above and under the pump. If Ethereum starts to pick back up and shows that they can actually go deflationary after they had this latest update, and we actually see that data start getting printed, then that could be one of those things that shows me that, okay, there is more potential upside here than we thought.
Gotta pump it up. Gotta pump it up. I like it, gents. Zenith, Gerardo, and Crypto Kong. Fantastic show, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me on this Friday. And where can people find out more about your work and DGen Roundtable and the one that I always forget? I'm sorry. I'm going to learn the name of that show one time. Around the Block. Boom. I got it.
Walk the block.
Walk the block. Oh, so close.
You're getting closer.
Like, better than nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, folks, find me on Instagram and X over at Zenith DI. I'm part of the DGen Roundtable. I got book club here tonight. We're actually covering 1984 by George Orwell, 8 p.m. Eastern time, like all of our shows. And then after that, we got the Sunday show on, which is our flagship news show. And then Walk the Block is our more professional, manicured show and service that we're trying to use to onboard people and get people up to speed and really use it as a great learning opportunity just for everyone involved to cumulatively come together, share knowledge, learn, grow, get rich together, hopefully. So that's what I got. Thanks for having me on, Max. Always a pleasure, sir.
Of course. Gerardo, you got about 10 different websites.
Got about 10 different websites. The main one, I would just say follow me on x.com/Gerardog. That's GERAWRDOG.
The hardest
And
one
I
to
have
spell, everything.
Gerardog.com
Try to look-
too. So
I try to look you up on X all the time, and I'm like, Gerardo.
I know it's tricky. Also,
somewhere.
Gerardo.pls. That's my name. So you should be able to find me there. Gerardog.com as well. Show pretty much everything I've done, who I am, everything I've built, and twitch.tv/Gerardog. That's a new little venture I have going. I got 83 followers. Trying to build that one up. So that's about it. Again, thank you for having me on, Max. It's a pleasure getting back into streaming. Appreciate you always having open arms to having streams with me. So
maybe one day, actually, I did meet you. I met you at the first Pulsechain conference before launch. I was going to say one day we can hug, high five, all that fun stuff.
We go.
But yeah,
do it again.
Did. Yeah, we did.
At your
meet.
Charlie Kirk booth. We'll meet again.
I'll have the debate booth, bro. Don't tip me. I will do that. I will have that debate booth. That's actually. I'm getting pumped up, man. I'm getting pumped up. So good. CryptoCon, how's it going, man?
Yeah, doing good. It was a nice stream. Thanks for having me on again, Max. Nice talking with you guys as well as Zenith and Gerardo. And nice to meet you as well, Gerardo. I think this is definitely
Likewise.
it was the first time on stream with you. So yeah, definitely a good one. If anyone's looking where you can find my stuff, I would just direct you to look into pdgc.com. You can see it there on the StreamYard, and like it's like more of a stats page for some of the top performing altcoins on Pulsechain and stuff, and like my other details are on there as well. So
builders, I love it. Good stuff. All of you are making big contributions in the community, so I really appreciate you all, and always good to riff and get different perspectives and have conversation. And it's bulls only stream. Although I feel like we're pretty objective. But objectively bullish in so many different ways. So if that seems like a good thing as well. Everyone, that is all we got for you today. We're gonna get the rockets up. I'm gonna hit the rockets up. I got these videos uploaded from the PulseCon 2055. So I'm gonna play them every once in a while. Scivive and 5555. We are out.